I just got through retrofitting all of my fluorescent lights and putting sockets and LED bulbs in them. Cheaper by the dozen, actually the 16. I got about 30 LED bulbs in here now, but I'm looking on the computer, and boy, I should be wearing my hat here. What a reflection on my forehead. Let's see, maybe I can adjust the brightness. Whoa, no, that's not good. And that'll probably end up being too dark. I better put it back at the 50% mark. You'll just have to put up with the glare. Sorry. Been that way ever since I lost my hair last year. Right. Well, I was sitting in the house, and a little after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been up since about 4:30. Got an early start fishing, and lately, you know, here it is June 25th, and boy, the fishing has really been diddly squat. The spring started pretty bad, and then it picked up a little bit, and now it's really been bad. Catching a few things here and there, but boy, it's like pulling teeth. I've been trying to use my baits exclusively, seeing, you know, how they'd work, and then I said, well, maybe I better go back to the old plastic stuff, and then some commercial crankbaits, things like that. But you know, it can't be my baits because it must be me, because you know, everything I use is pretty much the same thing. So, and I'm doing some weird stuff too. Like I'll cast into a bunch of weeds, and I'll do 3 or 4 pickerel in a row in the same spot, and you just never catch pickerel in this lake hardly. Used to a long time ago, but now it's all bass and crappie, things like that. So I don't know what's going on. So I thought, well, I can't catch them. I might as well make things to try to catch them with, even though they're not working. Gonna make a simple lure, just a standard shape, nothing fancy for carving, nothing fancy in a paint pattern. It'll probably be kind of like maybe a crappie. I want to keep it light. I want a light lure. I'm fishing early in the morning. I want something light. I get enough dark lures. Then it'll be a lot easier to do. I figure about, did this wash out? No, it's showing. About 3 inches. Standard, kind of a standard shape. And I'll get part of it done today. I'll finish the rest of it tomorrow. Let's get started. Gee, I don't know, everything's looking awfully white. I mean, it's really great to be able to see, it's wonderful, but as far as filming, geez, I've toned it down a bit. Oh well, we'll see how it goes once I get it edited. Still using this old piece of pine that I started with a dozen lures ago. In the attic from the 70s, and from a tree that I helped cut down. So seems to be doing pretty good, so I might as well just use it up. I get another probably a dozen lures out of it, maybe. I've rearranged the power tools a little bit, try to get a little bit of workflow. Drill press, horizontal sander, vertical sander, and bandsaw. I took the scroll saw and I moved it across the room. I'm not using it as much, and if when I need it, I'll just plug it in and use it. And we have a bait that is now ready for some other cutting and some other carving, or maybe just sanding. As I've been doing lately, I've been this pine, which is very easy to work with. Instead of carving it, I've just been putting it on the sander and coming out pretty good. I'm going to make a couple of marks now, at least some guide marks, so that I'll know where my tapering points start. First one will be right there. Second one will be right there. So, 2 tapering points, towards the front, towards the back. We want to go back right about there on this one, and a little blunter on this one. And it'll be just about like that. Oh well, poorly drawn, but the sander's flat anyway. Okay, let's taper this. Well, okay, that's about right. Got a good tape on the front. I want this a little more streamlined, not so chunky. Started with a 3/4 inch wood. Might as well continue and just take the edges off, right? That is the semi-finished, roughed out shape of the bait. Got it pretty symmetrical. Got a few little square edges to it here yet. You can't do that good with the belt sander. Why the belt sander? Why I'm not a chisel and do a finesse kind of old-fashioned? Because I've got belt sanders. The belt sander is your friend. First belt sander I've had since 1976. And that's an old Craftsman. The second one's an old Harbor Freight, which is about 15 years old. And they both work good, and they get a lot of mileage on them. But saves a lot of time, particularly if you get soft wood. Now to finish it off with a regular sanding. I got it very, very symmetrical. It just sort of happens as you're sanding it. It just comes out that way. I can touch it up as I go along. A little wider on the shoulder right there, but it's very good. Now for 240. And that was the entire foaming process. Sped up quite a bit. Took about, from cutting to finish sanding, took about 15 minutes. Started here at about 2:11 when I started with that long-winded explanation at the beginning. And it's 2:37, so maybe, what, 30 minutes? That's it. Okay, let's drill some holes. I'll mark them first for the lead and for the wire ties, or the line ties, put the wires in, and then we'll go from there. Have to admit, I am so guilty of not using a ruler. I find that whether I use it or not, it still comes out wrong, so why bother, right? But front tie, front hook. Ballast is going to be a little bit rear of center on this one, and rear hook. And I have this punch. You got to watch out when you mark something like this, because the grain, probably can't see this, but the grain kind of like curves out and around like that. So it gives an optical illusion when you make the mark for the hole. It's really hard to actually get it in the center unless you account for that. Okay, let's go and let's go drill these. I almost forgot the eye sockets. Let's see, right about there. So just above the cut, and that's good. Oh, too far back. When you mark it, if you look at it this way, and they're not in front of each other, then you look at it in the front, and if they're about the same height, then chances are you're in the right place. There's one. There's the other. Now we can seal it. And again, I've got a choice of sanding sealer or a few other things, or super glue to seal the bait. They all do a good job. Super glue's really fast. Man, I need better ventilation. Whew. But it is done. Set it aside for a second, let it dry. Oh no, not another wire loop making session again. Yeah, gotta have them. Let's watch how fast I can make them though. Ta-da! Well, I want to glue the eye loops in, but I just have to make up the epoxy once. If I get the bill made, I can glue them in all at once, the eye loops and the bill. So we'll make the bill now, and then after all those are either made and or glued in, the lead pot's heating up, we'll put lead in this thing. The bill I want for this, I don't want it too wide. I put the weight back a little bit so there'll be less of a wobble, and I don't want the bill to accentuate that. So there's the edges, and there's the place as far as it goes back. While the lead pot is heating up, let's cook some eyes. Little holographic film here. I'm just going to want some clear eyes, so this will be easy to make. I just got to glue them on here, and then put a pupil in, and that's it. I dried the pupil off camera with a hairdryer. Now a thin drop of UV resin, and then we'll put them in a curing chamber for a short while. Lead pot's ready. And a quick float test. Remember, the resin will add some weight. I like them to float, but not float too much. Just a crankbait. Just about right. Just about right. Good. We hit it. The bait is weighted and all ready for paint, actually. Floats just right. It's sealed. Tomorrow's another day. It's about 3:30 now. Haven't been working on this too long, but I think I'm just going to hang it up and let the water dry. Even though it was sealed with super glue, let it dry from the test. And tomorrow we'll start off with a base coat of white. I think it's going to be a Crappie pattern. I haven't made a Crappie pattern yet, and I would like to have something that's very light in color, and this will be a light Crappie. See you tomorrow. Actually, I take that back. Let's plug up this hole so it really will be ready to seal tomorrow, to paint tomorrow. Now we'll be ready to go for the park. See ya. Well, it is the next day and just about ready to paint this. This Crappie pattern comes from an early version of an early episode of Marlene Bates on YouTube. It's very, very simple, which is kind of what I like, and it's very white. So it's kind of a striped Crappie a little bit. I'm going to take a little blue and spray it over the side, and I'm using some of this fluorescent blue for no other reason that it's the right color. My other blue is just blue. Well, next I'm going to put a little gold up along the shoulders. It won't show too much, but said it's very subtle. When I put some of the pearl white on it, it'll soften a little bit, it'll look better. I think to give this a little more depth, I'm going to put some UV clear coat on, cure that, and then finish the painting over it. This is my last cup of UV clear coat. Hardened. I left it in the window where the sunlight was. And off to the curing chamber. I've got the screening on, and I'm going to start by putting some just some regular opaque white along the bottom sides of it, and then over the whole thing we'll do some pearl white. And the pearl white should soften things a little bit, and hopefully that'll pretty much do it as far as that's concerned. Now with the gills, I'm going to start with some black and then finish it off a little later on with some white. Now do the same thing, but this time with white, and put the stencil on right on the edge, and then slide it slightly forward and hope for the best. Hey, not bad. I'm going to put a little bit of pearl white on the white that's already there on the rear gill, and it'll shine it up a little bit. And one last little thing, right there on the tip of the gill, I want to add a little, just a very little dusting of black, and that's it. That is one nice eye. I put a very tiny amount of silver flake in here. I wish I had some black, but I don't. I've got silver and gold, and I'm not a big fan of the gold. And into the curing chamber.